Hello everyone, welcome to the part 2 of online Zoom session by Project Professional on Project Transformation Value Improvement by Joe Essenburg, Stroud International, Canada.
And here I'm going to invoke a concept called the McLeamy curve. And the idea here is that over time, the ability you have to improve the project's outcome or improve its value diminishes. Like by the time the project's fully complete and executed, you basically have no ability to impact its value. From there, then it gets kicked over to operations. But we all get this concept in principle. The challenge is the blue line. The challenge is in practice, oftentimes what we see is the actual behavior is the black line. Meaning that kind of everything's on the table up through concept select, and then at some point during the design basis, things flip to say, nope, it's designed now, it's optimized, can't touch it. And, it sounds harsh, but honestly, that's in practice, we've probably all seen it dozens of times to where there's not this curve. It's more like, yep, we can change things. Nope, now we can't change things anymore. And so sometimes it's too early, saying, hey, there's too many unknowns now, I can't make a decision. Sometimes opportunities where, oh, it's too late, it's already sterilized, there's nothing we can do. So how do we get at this? And for this, I'm going to talk about, on these well pads, there was a condensate management system. And it was off the pipe rack. And so the challenge here was the design basis for this project originally was basically a Lego brick design, meaning, hey, we have this nice building design, we like it, we're just going to Lego brick it everywhere where we need condensate management, and we're good to go. And so the question was asked, hey, do we need a full building at every point? And the team came back saying, yeah, we brought that up during concept select, but during concept select we decided to Lego brick it, and now it's too late to do anything about it. The design's already set. And so, again, this was a concept of challenging that mindset, saying, it's not too late. There's the McLeamy curve. Maybe I can't impact it anymore, but maybe I can. Let's go find out. So it turns out in this case, yeah, you did need a condensate management system, a primary one along the pipe rack, but for the other air locations, steam traps were sufficient to do it. And so we ended up being able to get rid of an entire string of buildings there and replacing them with steam traps without any trade-off. And the steam traps were straightforward to procure, so no impact to the schedule, none, is just a straight-up savings. So again, it's never believing it's too late. So basically, one of the old adages we say on projects is the best time to improve a project is early in design. The second best time is now. There is not a too late. Yeah, there's more on the table early in design, less things are sterilized, but we've also worked with projects that are more than half constructed and have still been able to drive significant cost improvement on them. So it's never too late. But take advantage of what exists now, earmark things that you can evaluate later. Sometimes you need to go to detailed engineering to evaluate something like maybe it's steel usage or concrete usage and you need the detail, fine. But there's many things you can evaluate now, and then make sure you do evaluate those things at the most opportune time. So, and then the last barrier I'm going to talk about, then we'll wrap up, is incentives that drive people to hide value in the project case. So a lot of times where this comes up is for anyone, and we've all been on projects where they're coming close, especially to a final investment decision or a gate review. And lots of times there's pressure, say, hey, right now our project costs, let's call it 10 billion. It's not going to pass at that. We're not going to get final investment. We need the project to cost 8 billion or less. And so there ends up becoming this negotiation where people go back and say, where is the estimate fat? Where is there? And people start brainstorming. I think that takeoff may be a little bit fat. Maybe we don't need all the contingency there. Yeah, I bet during detailed design we'll get a better way to do it. And you end up with this negotiation where, yeah, it's based on base principles and ideas, but it's not a straight calculation anymore. And this sort of dynamic happens on elements of a project estimate. And what happens when you're doing this, let's say you get that project down to the 8, But let's say there was enough opportunity to bring it down to 7, but you don't need 7. All you need is 8. What's going to happen is the team on a negotiation like this is say, ooh, well, I gave up some ground there, but I'm not going to tell them about this because I'm going to keep that in my pocket for a rainy day in case that goes over. I can still save my butt. And those are the sorts of incentives we're talking about, is when people know something might be able to cost less, but they don't bring it up because they want that, on top of the contingency. They want their own padding. So where this happened on the well pads was with the surface, they have to treat the surface for dust control and for constructability. So the original design was all crushed gravel. And when the team looked at that design, they said, ooh, that's really expensive. I bet we don't need crushed gravel everywhere. We can probably use packed earth for most of it. And we just need crushed gravel at certain points for construction maintenance. So they knew about this, but they still declined to communicate it and put that in the estimate because they said, well, yeah, we know we can use packed earth, but we don't know exactly whether it's 50-50 or 80-20 as far as crushed gravel, packed earth. And we just want to leave that one as crushed gravel for now because we want the space in case something else happens. But they already had contingency. And so this is an example where there's a natural tendency to do this when they already felt that their estimate was being squeezed. So how do you get in front of this is with project teams have to be diligent about the goal setting and the notion that if any team member believes that management or a leader or anyone else can just come by and tell them, hey, it costs too much, it needs to cost less, make it cost less, and they could just indiscriminately do that without any basis, you're going to drive this tendency. At the same time, each project owner or design owner needs to take responsibility for maximizing value in their own area, and it needs to be done in a transparent way that encourages collaboration. Like, opportunities can't be viewed as a bad thing, which often happens. Lots of times if people feel if they find opportunities, they'll actually be punished because they didn't find it earlier, which kind of goes back to the earlier point. But the team must feel safe. This is an organizational cultural shift to help promote that. So then the question is, as I wrap up, what can we do about these 5 barriers? So as far as what we can each do individually is recognize the barriers in ourselves, in our own project, in our own organization. The first step is always building awareness of where they're coming up. And then the second step from there is shifting a mindset to always believing there's abundant opportunity out there. Nothing is ever optimized. And so with that, with the belief, then the last thing is the cultural shift to encourage ideas. Opportunities can never be viewed as a bad thing. They can only be viewed as a good thing. And they don't all pan out. Not every opportunity pans out. There's lots that don't. But they all warrant evaluation, to the same rigor that, say, a risk would warrant an evaluation. So the last slide I have here is just key elements of Stroud's approach. So when Stroud partners with a team, in addition to the notes on the earlier slide, Stroud's mechanism has 3 key points. And the first one is what we call play offense. And the idea here is the project management we all learn teaches us all how to manage risks in a good way, basically in a structured, when I was learning project management, or manage my schedule. And so the idea here, that's what we call is project teams are generally good at playing defense, but there's no established great way to play offense. And so it's bringing a structure of what we call playing offense. We have a tool called zero-based analysis for finding all of these sources of opportunity quickly, but it's how do we put the same level of rigor looking for upsides rather than just mitigating risks. And then driving to decisions, I talked about earlier, the entire focus here with a project, it's all about making better decisions. That's how you drive value. And so any opportunity evaluation has to be driven to a decision that's aligned by the team that doesn't backslide. And then the people need to own it. The team has to be unleashed. They have to be safe. They have to have the mindsets and they have to have the support so that they can evaluate opportunities and look at things like benchmarks, standards. Is it actually too late? Can we do something? So those are the key tenets there. And that's the intro on what it takes to drive 30 to 60 improvement. From here, it's open questions and discussion.